course, I promised everybody that I'd record it. So welcome this afternoon. This is all about how to actually really do virtual meetings really, really well. We have just been plunged into this completely new world, and I've got to tell you that a lot of people are asking the question, how do I actually do virtual and do it well? And how does that help my business continue? How does that help my community group continue? How does that help my team continue? And what do I need to know to make that happen? So this afternoon, I just want to put on a total give. I want to help out with whatever I can help with. And so you guys are probably going to have a few questions. So what I want you to do is get ready with your questions. In the chat box, for those who haven't used a chat box before, it's the box, the little thought bubble box. Tap on that, type in a capital Q, and that'll let me know that there's a question in there. And so start thinking about what those questions are, and we'll get around to actually answering those. Here's the thing. If you run a live event, or you run an entertainment-based business, or where you run anything that gathers people together in a physical space, right at the moment, we've just had a 4x2 across the back of the head. And we've all had to change the way we do things. Now, there are going to be those that thrive and survive, and there are going to be those that drown under this. And my aim this afternoon is to give you some simple, practical tips on how to thrive. I want to tell you that this morning I was in an event, a virtual event. It was an event that was due to be on in California. So 2 days in California. It got cancelled because of Corona and traveling and all that stuff. We had 160 people on that conference this morning. We had live musicians. We had fantastic community interaction, brilliant teaching, guest speakers. It was probably better than a live version. It was certainly more intimate, and it was certainly more engaging than a live event. So the good news is that particular business switched to a live event. They didn't lose a single dollar. They didn't get a single complaint. There wasn't a single person who was booked to go to the live event that didn't thoroughly enjoy it. We even had a house party afterwards with a live musician and games. We played a game, a Jimmy Fallon game called Is It a Lie or Not? But it was just sensational. Everything about it was a really enjoyable experience. So the good news is, if you are in the entertainment, if you are in the event business, now is a time where you can absolutely thrive. Here's the thing. Many of you probably don't know that my previous career was as a film director and a photographer. So I spent 20 years in that industry, and I've got a lot of experience with producing television commercials and films and short films and photography. And I found that that's really helped me transition to this virtual environment really well. So I can answer a bunch of techie questions. I can answer a bunch of performance-based questions. So that's what we're going to look at this afternoon. So for everybody who's just arrived, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. We're coming through loud and clear, and everything's going okay. Terrific. For those who have arrived, there's a chat box for you to ask your questions in. And for everybody who isn't here, I've had a lot of requests to record this afternoon. So we're going to record it. I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this later on today or tomorrow. Okay, let's talk about something. I want to share something with you. First of all, what I want to do is I want to show you a video. Hang on, let me just find my video. Now, a couple of years ago, I was taught something quite kind of magical. What I was taught by a surfer called Lane Beachley, who is a 6-7 times world surfing champion. She taught me this principle that what you focus on expands. And what I want to do is I want to show you today one of the videos that's kind of got me thinking about this. So hopefully you guys can all see my Chrome there with the video. Can you all see that? Terrific. Let me just get this. Everyone in there. Okay, can you hear the audio okay? You can't hear the audio? Okay, let's make sure we share the... So here's what I want you to do. This is an awareness test. I'll talk through the audio. This is an awareness test. What I want you to do is I want you to count how many passes the team in white make, okay? So you're looking at the white team. We've got a white and a dark team. How many passes does the team in white make? Who's got the answer? Type it into the chat box. Let's see who's got the right number. What number have we got in the chat box? Alan votes 13. Who else is going for 13? Or who else is just cheating and waiting until I answer it? We've got 7, we've got 12, we've got 13, we've got 12. The correct number is 13. But did you notice the moonwalking bear that walked through the shot? You probably didn't. Let me show you. There he is, man in a bear costume doing a moonwalk. By show of hands, how many saw that? Not many, right? Because it's easy to miss something that you're not looking for. And the reason I wanted to show that is it's good fun, because you're probably all going right now, how the heck did I miss that moonwalking bear going through there? But the second thing that I want you to notice about that is, right at the moment, more than at any time in history, what you focus on will inform what your reality is. It'll inform what you do next. Now, I gave you guys all a task of counting how many white team passes there were. The answer was 13. You all focused deeply on that. You were counting them, and some of you got it right, and some of you got it wrong, and probably very few of you saw the man in the bear walking costume doing a moon dance through the frame. Right at the moment, what are we focusing on? We are hearing a lot of news about the crisis that's in front of us. We're hearing a lot of bad news about, the ramifications of this. We are focusing on things that aren't necessarily helping us, and we're not noticing the moonwalking bear that's coming through the frame. The moonwalking bear that's coming through the frame for everybody on this call is that we now have the opportunity to be more deeply connected to our teams, more deeply connected to our clients, and serve more people by doing it virtually. In fact, I had a call this afternoon with a whole bunch of my one-to-one clients, and I had an investment expert talking with us who said that there are 5 economic indicators that he looks at as an investor to let him know whether we're going into recession or whether we're going just fine. He says every one of those 5 indicators is in great shape. There is 0 indication that we're going into a recession. So the fact is, we are focusing on how many passes are coming through. We're not seeing the opportunities in front of us. So I wanted to put that in front of you, because the fear is our businesses have to stop. Our fear is that our teams won't work as well as they could when they're in a virtual environment. Our frustrations are that life goes on. Our businesses are working. Our teams need to work. and they feel helpless. They feel completely helpless about what to do next. What we want is business as usual. What we want is life as usual. People want to turn up to church and socialise with each other. People want to see each other out in clubs and pubs. People want to perform. Artists want to perform. There is so much that we want to do. And the aspiration, I think, here is that this could be the thing that shifts us into a completely different way of doing things. So what I want to do is I want to show you simple techniques in 5 areas. Number 1, the look and feel of your video and of your virtual environment. Number 2, the sound. Sound is incredibly important. We're going to talk about that. Number 3, we're going to talk about the tech of the virtual environment. And number 4, we're going to talk about performance and facilitation of virtual meetings. Number 5, we're going to talk about how to develop connection and community using these virtual environments. So what I want to do is get from you guys, which one of those 5 things is most on your mind at the moment? And I want you to type into that chat, into the chat box. Is it, we've got to work out the look and feel, you know, the visual side of it? Is it the sound side of it? Is it tech and which platform to use? Is it performance and facilitating, or is it connection and community? Type into there, into the chat box, which one of those that is most unsettling for you right now. So we've got a few: performance and facilitating, definitely. Let me catch up with these. I love how we're all diving in there and asking that stuff. Stephen Wamden wants to know about tech. Phil Badra, how to connect and community. Mark Bloom, tech to start, then sound. Marcus, performance. VJ, performance, absolutely. Irina, Facebook news. Yeah, what's happening? That's what's happening, right? Community. How do we actually make all of this work? All right, let's get stuck into it. The very first thing I'm going to talk about is the look and feel. I actually think that the visual side of things is one of the most important aspects, followed very closely by sound. Now, we are in a visual environment. I am simply using my laptop. What I can show you over here is another laptop. That's my portable system. I've just got a laptop set up on a tripod, and I'll show you that a bit more closely shortly. But the visual feel is something most people don't think about. When we're doing photography or film, the camera needs to be at the eye line. We call it an eye line. So every time you see a Hollywood set with Tom Cruise or whoever's on it, the lens is at their eye line. So whatever height that is at their eye line. Why is that? Because when the lens is at the eye line, you feel like you're connecting with someone. You feel like you're on their same level. If you were to put the camera way down low and I would stand over the top of you, that has a built-in sense that I'm more superior than you. I'm over you, and that means I'm more authoritative than you, and that's not great for connecting. Likewise, if it's up really high, it feels like I'm looking up to you. That's not really a good collaborative work. Now, this is an issue because most of us are doing our virtual meetings on laptops. Laptops sit even just on the desk below us. That means that the lens is sort of probably down at least where our chest height is. And what I've seen even in some of the news feeds at the moment is people sitting in bedrooms and, the camera is looking up at the sky, so, if you're looking up at the sky, you're looking up at the, you're looking up at the light fittings and the attic ladder and whatever's on top of the cupboard. It's not a professional look. So number 1, keep that camera at eye level. Number 2, be extremely aware of what's in your frame. Now, one of my first coaches I had used to sit with a nice window behind him, but the brightness outside was so high that he was just a black silhouette. I felt like he was in a Get Shorty movie and he was trying to do a bit of a deal with me. I felt like he was a drug dealer or something. He was silhouetted. I couldn't see his face. So many people have a window behind them, and that blows out the background. What you'll see in this camera over here, hopefully you can see that camera there, is that, and actually I will go to that one there. So what you'll see in this one over here is that I've actually got the window behind my computer, which is actually creating quite a lot of light. And if I were to move this one around, you'll see that I actually have some video lights here on either side of my desk that enhances that light once the sun goes down, and I don't have that window light anymore. So that's a really important part of it. What do you notice about where my desk is? I'm actually standing up. Now, for most people, they will do meetings sitting down. Sitting down meetings have less energy. If you're presenting, if you're in charge of that meeting, or if you are leading a team, I think standing up has a completely different feel. Now, I know that there are people here who are needing to work with people. So, for example, I've got people who are running gyms, who are running classes, yoga classes, that sort of thing. And right now, their business has stopped because they are, they can't be in the physical environment. Well, if you present well, and if you get this right, what you'll be able to do is to run an entire class where people are able to be doing their yoga at home. And I actually think, here's the thing. If I were a yoga teacher or a teacher of soccer or skills like that, I would look at this as the opportunity to expand, to actually take my business much, much larger, because now I'm no longer limited by how many people I can fit in a space. Now I could have 4,000, well, maybe not 4,000, but I could have 150 people on this virtual environment, and it's just such a phenomenal opportunity. So the visual look of what you're doing is really important. Think about the height of the lens. Think about what's in the frame. Think about the lighting. These lights that I've got are just video lights. They are from a fairly inexpensive place here in Sydney called Dragon Imaging. There is a video lighting sound place in every town, in every country. So just go look up whoever does your video lighting. Dragon Image is great in Sydney. You can get these lights for a couple of $100s. If you can't get those lights, they have little LED lights that can just sit up there. They're inexpensive, easy to use, and they'll light you really well. Because what's really important when it comes to visual is that your people can see your face, and they can see it well. I'm a little bit limited in where I can stand because I've got these in-ear monitors on at the moment. But if I was standing way back there and away from the microphone, not only would the sound be bad, but I'd be a tiny little figure in the frame. Much better that you fill the frame with your face so people can see your facial expressions. So one of the other things I want to talk about when it comes to frame is that in television and in photography, and anyone who's picked up a camera and taken holiday snaps knows that, in fact, what you focus on within the frame has a really profound impact on, the storytelling component. So what the pros do is generally use a slightly longer lens, and they crop out a lot of rubbish. Now, most people's camera in their laptop or in their phone is fairly wide angle, but I'd encourage you to use it quite close and fill the frame so that you're actually really taking up a lot of that frame. Particularly when it's at eye line, people are really feeling like they're connecting with you. Okay, I've done a little bit of talking. So what I want to hear from you guys is, Again, I want you to drop into the chat box. You guys have been so good at contributing and being engaged. Capital I for insights. What have been your top insights so far? So let's drop some of them into the chat and let's get a look at what's going on in your head. Love that, Alan. Fill the frame. I often used to, when people would say to me, what are some tips to make my photos look more professional? The number one tip that I would give people is fill the frame. It's so important. And think about your framing. Lovely. Ursik, yes, stand up. Now, what you'll see in this one here is that I've got a stand-up desk. I actually just built this because I like doing woodwork. But what you'll see is that it's on a motor, so I can go up and down. So you'll see on the main camera that's going up and down. Hopefully on the second camera you'll see that that's. So I can actually get that at my eye line. I can be at a comfortable level. I know Alan has a similar thing. So that's getting a stand-up desk. What I've used, as I said over here, is my tripod with a chunk of wood on it, so that I can just move my laptop around. So yeah, Marcus, eye line, yeah, eye height, creating connection. Hadn't thought about that. I actually think, and Irina, everyone has sort of said, make that background nice. I think it's something that I naturally think about, but I think most people don't. Oftentimes people come on a call and the camera's not pointing at them. So, the camera might be pointing like this and we're not filling the frame and it feels kind of awkward. Just think about how you look on camera, because there is an absolute maxim that I've seen over and over and over again, and it's this. How you do anything is how people think you do everything. So let me say that again. How you do anything is how people think you do everything. So if you turn up and you haven't thought about your eye line, you haven't thought about filling the frame, you haven't thought about what you're wearing or how you sound, people are going to think, well, if they don't really care about that, how much are they really going to care about whatever service it is that we provide? So I think that it's more important than just simply vanity and looking good on camera. It's professionalism. So fantastic. Yeah, Guion, standing up makes it much more dynamic. I think that's great. Get the eye line. Second camera. So are you guys seeing that second camera, that second Brett Odgers? Is that yep? No, we're not seeing that second camera. Okay. Some of you are, some of you aren't. So, okay, most of you are not. Some of you are. Okay. So we'll leave it on. We'll leave it on for the moment. Let me talk next. Well, actually, let me ask questions. Let's get some questions about who has questions about the visual look and style of it, and we can unmute you. So if you've got a question, throw your hand up and let's have a conversation. Or have I covered it completely and utterly? No questions. Excellent. All right, we've covered most of it. Let me talk a little bit about sound. When I was in film school, I did a workshop with a Hollywood producer, and he told us about an experiment that was done where they took two pieces of footage exactly the same. The acting was the same, the lighting was the same, the direction was the same, everything about it was the same in two pieces of footage. They showed the two pieces of footage to an audience, and one, they had really high quality sound. They had, deep, rich sound, recorded well. It was coming out well. Everyone was easily able to be heard. The sound was impeccable. The second piece was the exact same piece of footage with bad sound. The sound was tinny, actors were difficult to hear, It was a bit scratchy. It just wasn't anywhere near as good. Here's the report that came back. The audience in the second, on the second piece of film said that the acting was not as good. The performances were not very good. They said the lighting was a bit crap. They said the direction was a bit crap. They even said the story wasn't as good. Now, bear in mind, these are the exact same piece of footage that they've been shown. The only difference is sound. So what we know as directors and as visual people is that the quality of the sound will have an impact on performance, lighting, look, and feel. So think about that. If you are doing virtual meetings with people and you have rubbish sound, they're actually going to think, well, you know, maybe they don't know what they're talking about. Or, you know, he looks a bit shabby today, you know. Good sound, hopefully, you know, sound when we bring this up just makes me look more handsome. I don't know, maybe it does. But according to that research, sound affects everything. So, what? Yeah, Paul, I know what you're thinking, Paul. Nothing's going to make me look more handsome. But yeah, I'll go with it. Okay, what do we do about that? Here's my recommendation. You can use the sound straight off your laptop. It's okay. It's not excellent. Some people will use the earphones, you know, like the headphones, because it's got not a bad microphone on it. But I tend to find it distracting, especially when people are picking that up and holding it near their mouth. I think it's a little bit distracting. So what do? You have two choices, really. You can get a lapel mic or you can get a desktop mic. Now, I use a lapel mic for all of my live presentation, and this is just a wireless lapel mic. It's just, you know, it's a lovely little lapel mic that can go on there. You put all the wires underneath it, and it captures all the audio. Now, this particular one is a live performance one. And if you're going to have a live performance mic, as in what I'm talking about is a microphone which you would use on stage, then if you're going to use that kind of microphone into your computer, you need a thing called a USB, what do they call these guys? Basically, it's a USB patching cable. It's a little box that converts the signal from your microphone into a signal that the computer can read. Now, this particular one just has a couple of inputs. So, for example, I could put a guitar in one channel, a microphone in the other, and I could turn the knobs and adjust that microphone. So if you've got a microphone from church or from, you know, council, or, you know, you've got, you know, years ago, you're a rock star and you've got all the gear in the basement, all you need is one of these USB patching devices. This particular one costs about $80. And it's basically a little mixing thing. You can put your headphones into it. Fantastic, right? So if you've got a stock standard microphone that, you know, you've used in recording studios or anywhere like that, that's absolutely the way to do it. And you'll see a lot of the podcasters and people who are doing that, they've got those classic microphones. The second option is to use a USB microphone. Now, a USB microphone is a microphone that is built for the signal to go directly into the computer. Now, one of my favorite ones is my old, this one, I forget, oh, this is a widget, right? It sort of looks like a toy. I kind of got it because it was fun, but it's just a cool little desk mic. You can see it's just got a, you know, USB, and the signal that comes out of this just goes straight into a USB port on your laptop. They're okay. They're certainly better than the laptop sound. They're nowhere near as good as the quality of the audio from a lapel mic or a condenser mic or one of those. But I want to introduce you to the microphone that I'm using at the moment, which I think is just fantastic. It's a Rode NT. It's called an NT USB. Rode are an Australian company. They manufacture these here in Sydney. I think they're wonderful. This thing, I mean, as you can see, it's a very professional looking microphone. Actually, sorry, the sound is, as I turn it, the sound is probably going a bit weird. But it just sits on the desktop. It's got a little stand there. It's got, some controls there for controlling the headphones. But I think you'll agree the sound from that sounds pretty good, right? Like it's rich. It's solid. It's not picking up sound from all over the background. These things about $200. So I think this was 208, something like that, thereabouts. There's a mini version of these, excellent. It's a bit cheaper, 150. You can get the really the big fancy podcaster microphones. Here's my problem with that. All of them are built to sit here like a radio host. And that's all right for a radio host, but we are doing video. And to have I guess that's like, I'll get this one up. I guess that's like having this here. It's something that's between you and me. And as soon as anything comes between you and the camera, now we've got a bit of a block between us. And it's another distraction that you don't need. So the Rode NT USB, I think, is fantastic. You can get more expensive ones. You can get less expensive ones. Either way, the really good thing about this is it will also plug into my iPad. So I can get the iPad connector. It can plug in there. And when I'm on the road, I can be doing my video meetings with phenomenal quality sound. And, as I say, hopefully, because the sound is better, I look better. You think my performance is better, and the content of what I'm teaching or talking about sounds better because of that sound. The other thing about sound is that most digital devices like your phone or your laptop or your iPad have an automatic setting on your sound. And what happens is when it doesn't hear any sound, it automatically turns up the gain so that it brings in all of that, it's hunting around for the sound. So what happens a lot of times is that people are on the phone and suddenly the background noise gets really, really overwhelming and a bit distracting. Or you might be on a call with 20 or 30 people and someone's phone goes off and it's the loudest sound that you can hear in the entire thing. And that's because the microphone is hunting and turning up the gain, and that becomes really loud. That's an extremely simple explanation for any audio files that are on the call. But as soon as you get a USB mic that plugs in, now you've got another level of control. So it's actually really taking away the distractions of sound. So yeah, I think that's probably what I wanted to talk about with sound. Let me open up and just get some questions at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everybody. And so, yeah, hopefully you're not in a particularly noisy environment. So, all right, let's get some questions, ladies and gentlemen. Sound. It's one of those things which is a little bit of a mystery, but who's got a question on sound? Oh, it's Friday afternoon. I've baffled you all, haven't I? Stan, oh yeah, Mark Bloom, hit me.
What's the brand of lapel mic you're using?
I'm using a Sennheiser. So it's a Sennheiser, it's a portable EW100. They're about $500, thereabouts. This particular one, because it's a wireless, it's got the lapel mic and it's got the transmitter unit. So normally that transmitter unit just sits wherever the sound is going in, and that just sits on me. Just be careful not to go to the toilet prior to your speech and leave it on, as I did do one time. Either that or I didn't do it, and my assistant who's with me just decided to take the mickey out of me and tell me I did. I'm not sure which of those options were really happening. I'm not sure.
The second.
The second. Stan, I know, so for those that don't know Stan is one of our book writing authors, and he's also an actor. So he's been on film and television quite a lot. Stan, talk to me about what you know about sound and the kind of microphones that you see them using when you're doing performances.
Well, I think what you've got to do is make sure you practice with whatever microphone you're using. Just make sure you're really comfortable with it. And experiment with it before you start doing your virtual meetings.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would be the best advice. Whichever one, to try and get the best quality out of what you've got.
Yeah.
With the Rode mic you've got, Brett, how far away from you is it? Just half a meter?
It's what's that, about 30, 35, 40 centimetres away from me?
So it's not up on the next to the laptop?
No, it's let's see, can we let me just turn it down. It's on the desk below me. So I've got a little riser. So I've got a riser my laptop sits on so that it's at my eye and the keyboard is down here. So it's just sitting on the desk in front of me. But you know, one of the things I'm hoping you're all taking away from this is that your first job is to get the laptop or the camera up off the desktop and up to my height. I think that's just one of the really.
And you're just speaking at your normal volume, are you?
Yep.
As in conversational.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Which my wife will tell you is probably too loud, but you know, I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm not having to project too much. Yeah. So right. One of the things I'll show you is. I'm just going to unmute there. In terms of how do you hear? So I've one of the things that musicians do is they have these things called in-ear monitors. Did anyone notice whether I was wearing them or not? Did anyone notice?
No.
Right. So you sort of thought, oh, what's that in his ear? These are in-ear monitors, and this is what musicians use on stage. You know, they sit in your ear. They're really just a headphone that comes around. And that plugs into either directly into the microphone or into the audio out or whatever you're using. They're fantastic unless you've got to walk around, you know, because they don't get in the way. They sit in your ear. You feel like you've got the voice in your head. They're really great. But the second you've got to walk around or converse with people in real life, and that's why you see musicians take them out of their ears all the time. So this will be interesting because the audio will go down a little bit, but hopefully I'll be able to show you. This is a tripod. It's a normal camera tripod. There's nothing about this that you won't find in anyone's cupboard. It's just a tripod, and what I've done is I've literally made a platform out of whatever timber was in the shed, so that I could put my laptop on it. And I've put one of those, on the bottom of it, I've put the little bracket that some of the tripods have. So can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
So I've just made that so that I can put it anywhere. So if I've got to do meetings, virtual meetings, anywhere, I can just get my laptop out. I can put that up on there. Let me just admit a few that dropped out. So I can just put that up there. I can rise it up to whatever height I need to. So I can just, you know, take that up to that height and then I can have my, you know, the camera which sits there is right at my height. It all folds up into a fairly small kind of, you know, container. And either when I'm traveling or when I'm just sick of being indoors and I want to be outdoors somewhere, I'll take that. I'll take my microphone, my in-ear monitors. So my in-ear monitors would just go into the audio out there, and now I've got all of you lovely people in my head and in my, you know, wherever I want to go. So it's just about making certain you've got eye height and that you can take that wherever you like. So there's nothing complex about that. In fact, those who are good at woodwork will probably look closely at that and say that's pretty bodgy. But I've taken that everywhere from when I'm, you know, traveling, and you know, I've been out on a farm actually once. As long as I've got internet and I can do that, it's no problem at all. The other thing that you'll see over here, stay muted. So all I've got here is a lighting stand and just one of those little, just one of these little tripods, which I've actually just wrapped around this stand so that it, and now I've ruined it. This is just one of those little desk tripods that you grab and move around. It's you know, I can run an entire video meeting off this. Again, if I plug my headphones into that, then I've got great sound here. If I've got the microphone plugged into the camera, then you probably wouldn't notice too much of a difference between the laptop that we're seeing and you know, straight off my phone. Because actually the camera in these is extremely good. Back when I was a full-time photographer, Nokia used to employ me to go and take photos with their cameras. You know, and back then they were only 1 megapixel. Hang on, they were only 1 megapixel phones. The quality of this particular phone is so far above the those little old cameras that it's incredible. So, you know, your camera is a really, really strong device for actually doing these video meetings. You should feel pretty confident about it. And I think if you were doing something like you were coaching, you know, a group of people, or you were needing to walk around like you were on stage, then using your camera could be a really good way to actually do that. So the tech doesn't need to be, you know, high tech. You know, it just needs to be functional. All right, let's talk a little bit about, speaking of functional and high tech, these are my notes for this afternoon. I just thought, you know what, what I don't want to do is be looking down all the time. What I want to do is be looking up at you guys. So I actually put my stuff on cue cards and I blue tack them up beside my computer, so that even though I'm, you know, needing to remind myself every now and then, I'm not looking down and you're not seeing the top of my head. So you just want to think about all of that. The other thing that I see a lot of is that I see people who have the screen on a second computer, but the camera there. And if you're talking to the screen there, that makes sense in my head, but all of you are seeing the side of my head. I think it's really important that you need to be aware that that camera right there, that's you. I'm looking you in the eye. And so we need to make sure that we're not, you know, if the camera's off there, then that's where we're looking. If the camera's off there, that's wherever the camera is, we've got to make eye contact. And it's very, very easy, unfortunately, to get distracted by looking at our own image. We can't help it. We're biologically built to do it. So I can see myself just off camera and I'm looking at myself right now. Now that probably feels like I'm not properly connecting with you guys and girls. So you've got to make a conscious effort to bring your eyes right back to that camera. And that's a really important thing, because I see so many people doing video meetings and they're off here and they're off there, and they may or may not intend it to be, but they look distracted, they look unengaged, and if you're the person in charge of that, it's incredibly important. Now, I actually am encouraging many of my clients with sales forces to actually start doing their sales repping via video. Right, let me say that again. I think Salesforce could and should be continuing to work using video technology. Think about that. If you didn't have to get your Salesforce out in cars and running all around all the time, that could be a huge cost saving. So using some of these techniques and thinking about some of these are really important to that credibility when it comes to sales forces. Because if you're the salesperson and you're doing this, that's fine. Now you're making eye contact. But if you're doing this, that says something completely different. Even though your screen, you know, you may feel like that's your screen, your customers are looking at it thinking, oh, he's not really looking at me, he's not really interested. Likewise, a huge tip if you're doing any kind of sales online like this, put your phone and your iPad into airplane mode. I see an alarming amount of people in meetings taking a phone call. And I just think that's, you're not aware of what that says. The more we actually, think about how does that look like in real life, if you were doing that in real life, your boss would probably say, hey, get off the phone and get your attention back to what we're doing here. So we've got to be a little bit aware of that again. So I'm plugging you guys back in so I've got you in my head again. All right. What I want to hear from you at the moment is, what are your top 2 insights so far? And I want to, I'm going to put you onto gallery mode. So has everyone worked out, let's talk a little bit about the tech. We're using Zoom. I think Zoom is just fantastic. It's one of the best that you will find. And there are other options, but Zoom is really good. Can everyone raise their hand for me at the moment so you can hear me? Yep. So we even had on the call this morning, we had little dance sessions, breakout sessions. So if you're doing this over a 4-hour period, getting all your guys and girls up to do a little boogie with you is kind of powerful. So you can use the speaker mode or you can use gallery mode. And in speaker mode, most of you probably know that the person who's making the most noise will come up on the big screen. But what you'll see if you're in gallery mode is that you can click on any one of those screens and there's 3 little dots. And one of those is that you can usually pin that video. So for example, if I was talking but there was some extra noise, let's say in VJ's office, and it kept switching to him, you could actually click on me and hit pin video, and that pin would make whoever you pin the video be the big screen. So, and then of course on that screen you can unpin it as well. So I'm going to go to gallery mode at the moment, and I'm going to pick a few people out. So are you guys happy to play a game with me? Are you happy to talk to me? All right, Stan, since I started with you and you're unmuted, what are the top 2 insights that you've taken so far from today about working in this virtual environment?
I think the looking into the camera is really important, and that's something I'm trying to get used to. So a separate camera to your laptop and looking directly at the camera. Yeah. Makes a big difference to how you're received. Yeah. Secondly, I think the sound, that was a really good insight with the microphone on the desk. That Rode looks really good. So yeah. And the incredible thing about that is it's a $200 microphone. I mean, that's phenomenal value, I think. Yeah. We're not talking about a $1,500 microphone. We're talking about something that everyone on everyone's team can afford to get. So let me ask. A list of your travel kit would be really handy, I think. Yep, totally. Well, what I might do is I'll do a little video of, of the setup so that you can all see that and spread it around. John, I've got you up in the corner there. What are your top 2 insights, mate? You're coming from Adelaide, is that right?
Hey, Brett. Yeah, I am actually.
I've got you and Alan sitting together, so I've got the Adelaide, in the back corner of the classroom there.
We were just chatting before we got online, which is quite cool. I love the fact of the eye line. Like, look at the camera and get as much in as possible. I think the lighting's awesome. There's been some fantastic tips. Yeah, I like the mic stuff. So I've picked up so many great ideas.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Gion, you are coming to us from Lebanon, I believe, at the moment. Are you still in Lebanon, or have you relocated to Paris?
I'm still confined for the last 3 weeks at home in Lebanon, not moving, not going out. Crazy.
So if us Australians think it's difficult, Gihon's in an apartment complex in Lebanon and everything's been shut in Lebanon for a few weeks. So But what's not shut is your ability to work with people via video. So what are your insights today, mate?
The insight was the being standing, and a very useful tools is to have your standing table, and obviously what you talk about, the microphone. Very useful.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right, let's kick on. What I want to talk about now is a few little tech things. How many people, you're obviously all using Zoom now, but are all of you using Zoom regularly? Is that the main platform? Yeah. Are there other platforms that you want to know about? Because there's a few that I'm familiar with, but here's the really cool thing. Zoom have like all platforms, they have a paid version and a free version. The free version allows you to have unlimited one-to-one video conversation. So if you've got a Salesforce and it's one-to-one, totally cool, right? But what you can't do is you can't have more than just the two people on the call. If you're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 people on the call, the free version will only let you go for 45 minutes. Now, Zoom announced 2 days ago that they've lifted the time restriction on that for free accounts. So every single one of you right now can have all the features I've been paying for the last couple of years for free. What I really like about this is I think it is potentially the best marketing strategy I've ever seen in my life. Because all of those who never paid for Zoom before will go, what a great bunch of people. We're going to use it. We're going to do everything from have our, do live performances and team meetings and church services and all that sort of stuff. And then in a period of time, they'll say, okay, crisis is over. We're going back to our normal thing. How many people are going to go, yeah, I'll pay the $10 a month to own that? I think it's like, as a marketing philosophy, I think it's absolutely brilliant. But I think other ones that people are using are a Webinar Jam is a very, very popular one. I haven't used that myself. I have used GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting. Fantastic, but very expensive. Much more expensive than I'm comfortable with. You can, of course, use FaceTime. WhatsApp has very, very good video in it. Google Hangouts is not bad as well, not as stable. I think the thing that I find about Zoom is it's incredibly stable. Now here's one of the really cool things that I want to show you is that, and I'll just mute you all for a moment while I show you this. Okay, is the screen sharing. So some of you will have done this before, and there's a little green button or a little green box with an arrow up. That allows you to share. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my my iPad via Air. What do we call that? Air something or other. And now you can see my entire iPad. So everyone can see that okay? Yep, give me a thumbs up, cool. This, in the bottom left-hand here, you'll see Notability. Notability is probably one of the best apps on your iPad for working collaboratively. Now, what I have, for example, here, I did a workshop. I did a workshop with a bunch of people a couple of days ago, and these are one of the programs I do is helping people write books. I've created this in Microsoft Word. I've downloaded it into this, and what you'll see is my entire screen. I can write, 1, 2, 3. I can, do shading. I can even do shapes and change them. I can cut things out and move them. I can even highlight, see this area of the triangle, or I can talk about this little model here and we want to be on the green line, not the red line. It's really phenomenal. The update this week has given it presenter mode. So as soon as I put it into presentation mode, now you don't see any of the behind the scenes stuff. So if I change the color of my pen, or I decide to erase it, you don't see any of that. The other thing that I can do, I'm going to take it out of presentation mode, is if I want to switch between I did with this financial advisor, we did this great little session not that long ago, and I've just made notes. But if I want to switch between notes, I can easily do that. But of course, it looks a little messy. If I do that in presentation mode, then I can do the exact same thing, and you don't see me doing any of that. So Notability is like, if you've never seen what we're doing before, you look at it like it's magic. You know, you're like, wow, that's looks so professional. It looks this, and you can actually do lots of work on it. What I like to do is send the workbook to my audience beforehand. I was thinking of doing one of those for us all this afternoon, but I just thought we're just going to get on and just help people. So creating a workbook, whether that's in PowerPoint or in Word, outputting as a PDF, and then bringing it into a program like this, just means that you can work really effectively with people. Fantastic. Obviously, you can bring up anything, Excel spreadsheets, anything like that you're working with people on. But I find that the freehand drawing is really good. Now, it's super, super simple to do. I literally hit the green button. I share my screen. In this case, I've shared it via AirPlay. But if you plug your iPad in, you can share it via that as well. And then just stopping sharing, as simple as hitting that stop share button, and we're back to the main. We're back to the main group. So in terms of tech, with a laptop and an iPad and a microphone, you are really as pro as you can probably be. So I think same with the iPad or iPhone or any of the other webinar platforms. I don't think all of them have the same level of functionality as this. Here's one thing I want to show you that is mind-blowing if you've never done it before, which is breakout rooms. Now, what I'm going to do is, in a moment, I'm going to create some breakout rooms, and I'm going to put you all in that breakout room. Now, I'm going to put you in that breakout room just for a minute or so, and I actually want to give you some homework. I'm going to put you in breakout rooms of 3 or 4 people, and I want you to talk to each other about what the top thing, how you think that you could use this in your work going forward. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my breakout rooms. Now, you won't see this at the moment, but I'm going to make 6 breakout rooms, which will put 3 to 4 participants in each room, and it's automatically going to randomize you. What you'll see is you'll see an invite that says, a little dialog box that says join breakout room. So in a moment, that's going to come up. You see that box, you click that, you'll go into a breakout room. Then I want you to share, how could you use this in your business right now? And what I want you to do is then when I stop the breakout rooms, it'll give you a 60-second warning, and it'll bring you all back to the main group. So are we all good to go? We're ready to be transported into our breakout rooms? Here we go. I've just opened all the rooms, so everyone should see a dialog box that says join breakout room. Fantastic. Terrific, folks. So for you guys who are here and probably just listening in the background, you will have got a join breakout room. So jump into there and join that breakout room. And Scott, were you able to get into a breakout room? Oh, hang on, I'll unmute you.
I got in, but I didn't hear the end of the instructions, so I thought I missed something. I'm going to go back into it if I can.
Go back into it. Hang on.
No, I can't. There we go. Breakout rooms. Yeah, I've been assigned to join.
You've been assigned. You should be able to join.
stuff.
Okay.
Hey guys, so what I'm doing is, as the presenter, I'm literally sticking my head into your breakout room, checking you're all good, and then I can go and check into the next one.
Brett,
Yes, mate.
a quick question. This breakout room, is that in the pro account, or do you have to have the meeting account?
It's just in the, like, I don't pay more than 10 or 15 bucks a month for this, so it's whatever the pro account is. What I don't know is whether it's in the free account.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, it would just be a matter of trying that out. But it's pretty cool, right?
Love it.
Very cool.
Yeah. We did this with 160 people this morning. It was fun. All right, I'll see you back there shortly.
Okay. Can't hear you, Brett. You're on mute.
Thank you, Phil. So that was a bit of fun.
It was great. We have to hear how you manage it.
Oh, I promise you it's easy. I am absolutely not a tech genius when it comes to this stuff. What unfortunately I can't share my control panel, but it's literally just a breakout room. A dialog box comes up and it just says, how many breakout rooms do you want to make? And I made 6, I think. And it said, that means 3 to 4 people in each room. You can ask it to randomly put people in there, or I could actually choose to put people in there. So, so for example, yep, sorry, there was a question there.
Where is this button? I couldn't find such a question.
You're probably not seeing the button on your end because it's on, because I'm the host. So it'll only appear on the host's button.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, hang on, let's get you in there. So when you actually go to do it, the question is, do you need Zoom webinar to do it? No. So this meeting has been set up just as a straight Zoom meeting, nothing different. I can actually have up to 100 people on this call. And I think once you go over 100, you can have up to 400 people, and that's just the higher level bracket, cost. So if you were doing a sales meeting, you could actually, when the dialog box comes up and says, okay, you got 6 meetings, who do you want to put in each room? I could just grab a name and drag and drop straight into those rooms, and it would just go in. As you would have seen, I broadcast a message into the group, we're closing it in a minute. And then when I close it, it gives you a minute, gives you a countdown. And how many people found themselves speeding up to finish what they were saying before the minute was up? It's kind of fun.
And you can record that, Brett? Can you record what's going on in the breakout rooms?
Well, that's a really good question. I think what we did what I saw done this morning was we had 3 separate facilitators, and what I saw them do was they actually had a new Zoom link for each of those facilitators. So for example, if I wanted VJ to teach us about, how to manage your money right now, and I wanted, Alan to teach us about this and Guillaume to teach us about that, I would, in the chat, I would say, okay, here are the 3 Zoom links. We're going to close this one. and go into those other ones. So it's almost like you've got three separate, you would then definitely be able to record all of those. But I guess here's my question. How would you use that? What's the main reason you'd use breakout rooms?
Well, I'm thinking of like a meeting situation where you want people to kind of get into a huddle and discuss different elements of the meeting, and then you come back and walk back as one person rather than a whole collaborative thing. So you can kind of split some of the meeting activity into the groups and then still bring people back without trying to manage it. What
you've just said, Paul, is it's almost like bumping into people in a conference and having those conversations in the hallway.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of level of intimacy. And you're suddenly getting to meet people who, and spend time with people in a fairly intimate, one-on-one situation.
Yeah.
Fantastic for engagement. So I know for any one of you who do events, this is exactly the way to get people to connect and create community. Because I reckon, here's one of the things I want to share with you guys. Let's get this going again. Okay, so I think that, and I'll speak specifically about my business, which is coaching. Whether that's coaching teams or whether that's coaching people to write books. People are coming to an event for one of three things. They're certainly coming for the content, and in a lot of cases, they're also coming for the coaching. Now, what I mean by coaching is they're coming for some feedback, whether it's from their peers or whether it's from the facilitator. But I think the thing that a lot of times we're missing out on is the community. We as presenters think a lot about the content and the coaching and all that sort of stuff, but we're not often thinking about the community. And the thing about those breakout rooms is that they are a phenomenal way for you to actually create community in all the people that have come to your event, or in your sales team or your team in the office. It's really a way to sort of create that intimacy amongst your team. So that's a little bit of tech. It's I promise you it's easy to do. Again, as Stan said, have a little practice, before you jump out and do it. But what I want to do is I want to talk about two more bits and pieces. One is performance and facilitation. Here's one of the things that I want to tell you about performance. Now, Stan and I, where are you still with us, Stan? Where are you? I think he had to go. Oh, so I can say whatever I like about Stan now. Excellent. Stan and I were in a band together. Stan was the lead singer and I was the guitarist. And people loved our band because Stan is a trained actor, and he would be up on the front of the stage, and he would certainly say he's no Jimmy Barnes or world-class singer. He's a good singer, but his performance of the songs was so captivating and so engaging that people loved us. And I swear people think I was a better guitar player than I really was because Stan made us so interesting. The difference is that there are a lot of bands who can play note perfect a song, but that gets really boring. What people really want is performance. And the thing that Stan did was he just dived into it and threw himself into it. What does that mean for you guys? What that means is modulate your voice. Use the camera. So at the moment I've got it set back a bit, but you can come in here. You can come into the, use the camera a little bit and, actually get a little bit, tell secret, a little bit of tell them the secret, that sort of stuff. Have some fun with it, because you can have perfect content, but if you have no life in your performance, it's not going to matter a dot. Just like I have seen David Helpcott, who is the world famous piano player, play at a concert, and he is note perfect, what looks like impossible pieces, but he's not engaging because everything else is shut down. He's just note perfect. Whereas a piano player who, Thirsty Merc is one of my favorite bands, you know, he's a very good musician. He's no David Helfcott, but he's so engaging because he draws you in. That's the way I want you to think about what you're doing with video. Doesn't matter whether it's your sales team, your internal team, your clients, anything. You've got to think about this as a performance. It's not enough just to turn up and just do what you got to do. So movement, walking back, coming up close. You know, you've probably seen keynote speakers who stand there like a rabbit in the headlights just talking. Let's not do that. Let's move around. Now, the other thing, one of the things I did some vocal training, like I learned to sing. And one of the things that you learn to sing is you learn about projecting your voice and protecting your voice. So the digital environment is a little bit harder on your voice. You do have to project a little bit more. So I'd encourage people to be doing vocal warm-ups, to be actually thinking about some of that, because if you were doing this all day, every day, which we may well be doing for the next month or so, it's going to have an impact. So vocal performance. The fifth thing, which is connection and community. Now, what I hope I've done for you today is demonstrate that we can, even though most of us don't know each other, we can be connected quite quickly in this environment. It is interactive. It is a way to build relationships with people, but you need to do a few bits and pieces. So I want to point out the things like the breakout rooms are just such a great tool. The chat, actually getting people to pop their questions, their insights into the chat is really good. And what you can also do, which you may not know, is if you open up the chat box, now the chat is that little thought or that speech bubble. If you open that up and, you know, I want to send a message to Gemma, I can actually select Gemma in there and I can actually type a message, hey, Gemma, and I can send that and only she will see it. Now, why is that so cool? Well, hang on. Who started? Paul started sharing his screen. Paul! Paul, can you hear me? We need to stop sharing your screen. Hang on.
Yeah, I haven't touched anything. Someone's trying to get into my Zoom by the look of it.
Hang on. What I'll do is oh, is that Paul? No, I think it's Paul.
Oh, the other Paul.
Paul Diener, I think.
Ah, okay.
So let me go, Paul Diener. I'm going to stop sharing in here.
His sharing, yeah.
Yeah. It just took me a moment to find which one it was.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So I've sent, and Gemma, have you got that message that I sent on the chat that's come through to you? So, you know, Marcus could actually see Paul Roach over there and go, he could send him a private message. Hey, Paul, I ordered a copy of your book. Where the hell is it? Why hasn't it come to me? And it's not interrupting this. So you can actually have quite effective side conversations. And in the event that I was in this morning, one of the guys in there said, hey, would you come and speak at my event next week? And we had I booked in a whole speaking engagement while we were actually listening to it. So the interactive ability of this is really very, very cool. Here's the thing. The creativity of how you use that connection is entirely up to you. So we could actually play a game of trivia. We could play a game. We could get a live musician in here to perform. We could get a comedian to do a stand-up piece for all your team. You could absolutely get a high level of engagement if you were doing something like a yoga session or an exercise session or something like that. So I think that the connection and the ability to engage is really only limited by your imagination. So they're the...
Brett, this is Scott. Am I able to share what I've been doing while you have been presenting?
Mate, please do. That would be awesome.
So I'm going to share my screen for a quick second here. excuse that I've got other stuff.
Yeah, we'll just
Windows D to get back to my main screen. All right.
Yep.
So trying to bring up the and of course my here we go. That's my I'm sharing the wrong screen that's not on my video, so I'm gonna read that because that's
so this highlights a principle that I want you all to take deep note of, which is we're not going to get this perfect. So let's stop trying to make it perfect and let's just do it. You know, progress, not perfection. And I think the more genuine and more open you are about that with your people, it'll just be like real life. You know, you won't get it right all the time. Scott, go for it, mate.
So I recorded. I found the end of this wonderful, and I found the start of it slow. I was a bit frustrated. I went and recorded a few tips of my own.
Yep.
About using Zoom and use Loom, and I did that as a video.
Yep.
I then sent that as now for some reason my group chat's not coming up, but I sent a group chat to everyone in the group with there's a standard message, but then I put their name on the front of it. Then I put the person's name on the front of it, and then I've got my link to my video in there, and I said, hey, here's my email. Reach out if you liked it. And so not trying to hijack your piece, but it's just a way of going, hey, I'm here as well. I've done this thing in the past, and, probably 70% of people don't check the messages. That they aren't aware how the messaging works. And I've had one person messaging me thinking that it's you, because it's not that clear that you're messaging Scott privately versus everyone versus Brett. Like, it's just a little bit hard to use the Zoom meeting controls. Yeah, and that's all. I can't get my screen or whatever to show, but that's enough that's all I wanted to say. And then a few people have replied, and that's been fun. I'm stopping sharing now.
Brett, you're
still on.
Sorry. Yeah, I think when he clicked that, it accidentally muted me. So let's unmute all. Okay, let's finish up. I'd really love to go around and just get what's been the top 1 or 2 insights that you've got out of this that you'll be able to use. And here's what I want you to tell me. What are you going to do with it? What's the one thing that you're going to do on Monday with your videos that's going to make things a little bit different? So let's kick. I've got my Brady Bunch screen, and I've got John up in my left-hand corner. So you're starting off, John. What are your top 2 insights, and what's the one thing that you're going to do on Monday?
Well, it's actually obviously, like I said, looking into the screen. You're ever present, moving backwards and forwards. I like that because I talk a lot with my hands, and you've just given me the opportunity.
Yeah.
We run an events business, so this is going to come in handy for that because we've had to put our event off.
Yeah.
And I know Alan may have spoken to you about that. And
yeah,
we're actually running a webinar on Tuesday, and we're going to be using all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've seen people pivot to a virtual event. It's been really very, very successful. So yeah, fantastic. Gemma, what about you? What have been your top 2 insights, and how are you going to use it?
Definitely the hints around the sound and video and stuff to make it, I guess, the quality to back up the content.
Yeah.
But I'm also feeling more, so I do dancing.
Yep.
And no longer allowed groups to do dancing, so they've gone to using Zoom to do classes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was a little bit, I'm not quite sure how this would go, but now I'm sort of seeing it in this format, which is a little less intensive.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be
I think it could totally work for dancing, because, it's just different. It's going to be a little bit different, that's all. So, yeah, fantastic. I'd love to hear back how it goes with dance. My daughter's doing dance right now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be looking for something to do in a lockdown. Marcus Shaw, you're next on my Brady Bunch screen. What's jumping out to you?
Yeah, the eye height thing was awesome. and fill the frame, moving in and out. I'm going to take this and use it in a couple of webinars next week. So
yeah, fantastic.
Love how you interact with everyone, and yeah, awesome to see a master at work.
You're very kind. Irina, what about you? What have been your insights?
Look, I am kind of talking to people in the industry, and they're saying that it's a lot of free Pilates videos out there. And they're saying why they would join yours and why they would join your Zoom meetings and why would they pay you for those. So I'm kind of looking into the learning initially how to set this up and see where it will take me, because a lot of people cancel and they're not coming. They wanted to do it online. So I just want to know how to set it up. Will I make money on it or not later? I'm not really concerned, because besides Pilates, I'm selling real estate, I'm dealing with developers, I do international transactions. So it's applied to different businesses, I guess so.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. Paul Roach.
Mr. Odgers, well done on getting a time that suits the West Australians. So congratulations.
It's all for you, my friend.
Yep, yeah,
all for you.
I thought it was. Freaking awesome. The sound and the lighting is obviously the two things I've picked up on, and I actually put this out to a whole stack of my clients, and none of them have turned up. So, with your permission, I'd like to use it as a training video for them.
In fact, every single one of you, I want to help people. So when you get the video, give it to as many people as you can. If you want me to come and run a cut down version, Scott, cut out the early bit if he likes the later bit, I'm happy to help. You know,
awesome.
There's a lot of people hurting at the moment, and I just want to help them. So, you know, happy for you guys to spread the word and spread the video as well.
Beautiful.
Cool. Stephen Roger.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. That's been awesome. The camera at eye level, which I'm going to have to change my setup to get to. And
you got a weekend of tinkering in the shed to sort that out.
That's it. Get a good tripod.
Yeah.
And yeah, filling the screen. That was a good tip as well. So thank you very much. It's been great.
Pleasure. Paul Diener. Oh, we've got a lot of Pauls on the call this afternoon, haven't we? Oh, hang on. Let me unmute you, mate. You might need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. Yep.
All right. Thank you. Well, as always, Brett, always adding lots of value. But I think certainly starting off from the visual, they're getting the eye contact, I guess the speakers, the sound. I guess I hadn't really considered that. So I'm going to have to do a bit of shopping to get some better technology than just my laptop, which is currently what I use. And I think I've been sitting at EDM being in the print space, so that's kind of the next step. We're not sitting someone to print it for it, but I think getting some videos happening with a bit more sort of engagement and kind of interactive thing on video is giving me a bit of an idea to be a bit different. So I can, while I can't get people to touch and feel it, we can show them stuff and we can do a few more sort of tactile things that make it a bit different. So I think I'm going to switch and perhaps change my mix a bit to some short videos that'll keep people hopefully not only engaged but amused.
Yeah, great idea. Guion, what about you, mate? What have been your top insights, and how are you going to use it while you're locked in Lebanon?
Yeah, so it's always good to have your coaching. It's even so I've seen part of it already, but it's something which struck me that I didn't realize last time when we talked about was the breakout room, how you use it, and it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And also the sense of community. I never realized yes, the breakout room and this could be a community, and how I'm going to use it. Because I'm far away from my family for the last 20 years, I'm going to start to use it and to play as from today, reaching out friends and family far away to feel very comfortable when I'm going to use it for business soon.
Excellent. I have a friend who told me that he used this and breakout rooms and all the rest of it for a baby shower this week. So he's got all these people together who can't get together, and they did his sister's baby shower, and he ran the entire thing on Zoom. He said it was awesome. So that's pretty interesting. Scott, what about you, mate? We unmute you. There we go.
Just to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
I've got the Zoom webinar and I've just been sitting there waiting for it to be perfect. But there's no need for it to be It just.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate. I lost you. Yeah, I lost you for a second.
The breakout rooms is awesome.
Yeah.
To run people into those breakout rooms so they get more community from it.
Yeah. And I think, I want to encourage all of you, the first time you do it, it won't be perfect. Don't worry about it. The thing that you've got to do is just do something, because sitting around sort of, I think, Scott, you said that really well. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Just do it. And it's actually how this came about. Yesterday I just thought, you know what? I know how to do this. I can help people. I don't care who I help. Let's just help people, because we need to focus on the dancing bear walking through the picture a little bit more than all the other stuff. So, whatever it is that you do to help people, just jump on and do it. They'll appreciate it, I think. So, terrific. Alan.
Reinforcing all the stuff that I'm going to do next week. So
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday I'm about to go live with it. So it's a good to refresh all the things that I know in my head and that I've been practicing with my team in their meetings to take it to a webinar. So
yeah, fantastic. And I think I'm not sure whether Brian, are you there with us, or are you just listening in? I think we might have a few people just listening in. Okay, team, let's wrap up with that. Thank you so much for being here. I'll send out the recording if you want any help at all. If you want me to help any of your clients do any of this, I'm really happy to help. I'm profoundly affected by the way that we can connect in a completely different way. It's not maybe going to be the way that we used to do it, but I think this really helps us, live life, business as usual. So if you need help in any way, just let me know. Happy to help. And thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you all being here. Thanks, team.
Thank you, Tom. Have a good weekend. Cheers, guys. All the best. Let's stay safe.
Cheers.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.